I'll start to record the lesson. Here we are.
Is already recording, Prof.
Yes, I put it on now. Okay, now
Okay.
can you see you see these three handles here?
See.
Can you see the slide? Yes.
See just the first slide, power, control, and conflict. The
Okay.
introduction.
So it means that you have the more you have, for example, if this is power, you have a lot of power in managing the relationship within the company. Then you can if you have the so hard, then you have to increase or to set the control bar at the same level or higher, because otherwise you cannot exert the power. You have the decision power that you have. Okay, now we have a definition of power here, which was actually, we have to go back to the years 50s. I don't want to go back that much in history, because then it would be just very abstract. But a definition that's been used from the years 50s on is this one. It's been borrowed from political science. Robert Dale defined power as the power over B, A as the power over B, to the extent that he can get B to do something that B would not otherwise do. So power is, for example, if you decide that something has to be done within your company, like, for example, due diligence, then you should have the power to say that, to organize a group of people to study the way that either yourself or a group of people to study a way through which due diligence should be carried out. So it's a relational concept. You have the power with relating to what other people are doing. So it's not a power in itself, it's a relational power. The extent that he can get B to do something that B would not otherwise do, which is a different concept from that of, and I think we said so already, about the concept of leadership. Leadership is the ability to influence, not to get B to do something that B would not do otherwise, but to influence the behavior of B. Influence through example, through convincing, through communication, but power is stronger. It's not like leadership. Leadership does, when it's applied in a proper way, leadership is convincing someone that it should behave in a certain way. And we studied all the ways that we can do that through, for example, the cultural aspects in carrying out the life of a company. No matter the level, power is always exercised in the context of relationships between actors. Of course, power never resides in actors. What's that mean? It means that certainly a person A has the power to do something because either law or a norm or regulation within the company allows them to take certain decisions with respect to what another person in the company is supposed to do, and according to the position they both have and within the company. So it is what is stressed here by Mary Jo Hatch is that in order for power to be exerted, you must have a relationship between the two actors. Okay. Now, strategies. Now there are some strategies to increase your power. For example, creating dependence in other work in areas of high uncertainty. Cultivate centrality by working in critical areas. Develop non-substitutable skills. Now, you can understand that if you are in an area of high uncertainty, you will have within your company, they will say, oh, Mr. So-and-so, for example, Sano, is very courageous because maybe his objectives are very hard to obtain, and he's risking the fact that he probably won't be successful, and so his luck within the company will not be so high. But at the same time, if he will be successful, then he will most probably gain power, because both either people will respect him more, and so he will increase his leadership, but also he will maybe put in a position of a higher hierarchy with respect to other ones. Cultivate centrality by working in critical areas. Now, if I am a surgeon in a hospital, uh, working in a critical area, for example, if I am just a, a doctor in that, for example, in a dermatologist, is not as powerful as a doctor in the heart surgery. So cultivate centrality by working in critical areas. Of course, if something goes wrong in at the hospital in a heart surgery, consequences are more serious than for a dermatologist. I mean, I'm talking of dermatology, not with serious diseases like you encounter with certain kinds of problems. The third is develop non-substitutable skills. Like now, you've been successful in bringing to the market a very successful product through which, for example, and you know how to find the customer segments that will actually buy the thing. So non-substitutable skills means that even if they hire someone else, you've acquired so much experience within the company that what you know how to do for the company is very hard to be substituted. So non-substitutable is very hard adjective, but the harder it is to substitute your competence, your skill, and the more power you have. Another strategy is coping with uncertainty on behalf of others through prevention, forecasting, absorption. Now you can say, look, if I can't forecast that we'll have a problem in that customer segment because of competitors or what. So we'll have prevention means that you are going to take care of the problem before it comes out in the open. And so the problems connected to it will be less serious than if you didn't forecast what was going on. So you see, so that's the second. Prevention means I know that something wrong will happen, so I'll take care before the thing will happen. Forecasting is I am very good at knowing when the weak signals will become strong signals, and we'll have to use prevention. So forecasting goes together with prevention. And absorption means, okay, I am at the head of this product, of this group of products, and all my products are going all right except one. And there is going to be a problem there. But since all the other products that are under my responsibility are going all right, so even though one product will not be successful, then I absorb the negative impact with the success of my other products. So on the whole, my division, my unit, my organizational unit will absorb with the other revenues what is going wrong with one product. The other is developing personal networks. I mean, what is a development and a personal networks? That a personal network is that, okay, you are in the marketing department, right? And you are the head of the marketing department. If you have a good network, remember when we spoke about the capture of the regulations. Now, if you have a network which you can lobby certain areas in the government, then you become powerful. You say, "Oh, we as a company we need to get that incentive." Then my personal networks, that is the people I know personally, not because I'm working for this company, but because maybe I went to college with some of these politicians, then they think it's not necessarily to be bribing anyone, but they have me in great esteem. So I think I can get an incentive because they think that if I work for this company must be reliable. Then another point is developing and constantly augmenting your expertise. This goes together with these non-substitutable skills and by working in critical areas. So augmenting your expertise means that you're either going to seminars or you are working in critical areas so you learn from experience, or you are developing non-substitutable skills. So if you're famous within the company for being one that's continuously updating his knowledge, his or her knowledge, and in developing her or his networks, then the two things going together, but this one can stay on its own. Then, since especially in this period where digital transformation is taking place, then the expertise, especially as you climb the company ladder in the hierarchy, then you acknowledge that you have a strong expertise and therefore your power increases. Because if you're going to have a meeting and you speak, then people are going to say, "Oh, if he has that opinion, maybe uh, we better follow what he's saying because he's rarely wrong and he constantly updating his knowledge." Now, control the information that flows to other. Now, this is actually the fact that, okay, since we just seen that this expertise is knowledge, then maybe through your personal network, you can control that other people that are your competitors within the company are not getting that information, especially, well, if it's within the company, that's not correct. But it's from outside, well, they say they should try to get this information on their own. Why should I tell them? Why should I give them this piece of information? Because it's costing me a lot of effort. So uh, control the information in the sense that maybe I channel that information to me or to my group of people working in the company. Or you can also control agendas through issue definition. Remember when we spoke about problem setting and problem solving. So you control agendas, you see in meetings, in committees, the board of directors, if we are part of it. It's important that, for example, if you can put as a first item an issue, then you define that issue that is maybe it's certainly if you put it as a high priority issue, then you put it there because it's something that if it will be approved, especially when there are budgets that are being approved, then you can have some advantages from it. And then the issue exclusion. Now, maybe you found that within the company, one of your competitors wants to work in an area of high uncertainty, then issue exclusion. You can say, "Oh, that area of high uncertainty is not important. It's very important for all of us." So you sort of take this uncertainty away from her or from him and issue exclusion, and you reinforce the fact that the whole committee should should worry about that area, that issue, so that your competitor will not gain strength through the fact that she or he is working in an area of high uncertainty. Because when you bring this uncertainty to the attention of a group and of a well-financed and powerful group, then this uncertainty becomes less critical. Okay, then control decision-making criteria, for example, long versus short-term time horizons, return versus risk, self-promotion, any criteria favoring your abilities or interests. Now, long versus short-term time horizons. Now, this is not so easy to do because there is a general agreement that companies nowadays, because of uncertainty and because of, for example, when there was the pandemics, the attention was based mostly on the short term, even though at the time there were people saying, okay, these pandemics will not last forever, so we should take into account what we should be doing in order to take advantage of what's going to happen after the crisis due to the pandemics, because most probably the states, the governments are going to produce funds that we can get to reestablish the power of organization. Now, return versus risk. Now, okay, there is this. We are trying to enter a market in another geographic area. This is a high risk because we know that there is already a competitor, but this competitor is not really a key competitor. It's just a competitor. So we can risk it because we'll have strong returns. So if we are being right, and if I think that I'm right because my personal network say that give me the data and the reasons for taking this risk, because the returns will be very high, and the more certainty on returns, and returns are higher than risk. Self-promotion, any criteria favoring your abilities or interests. Now, decision-making criteria say, okay, I have a background in information technology, and the company decides to get into the acquisition of a company that has, or making a deal with a company that is well positioned in the artificial intelligence business. Then I can say, oh, I can be part of that committee because I have this background, this information system background. So you're promoting yourself. I am promoting myself on the basis of that expertise, which is very important for what the company is going to go. So at that moment, I can sell, quote unquote, of course, sell to the inside of my company, saying that I am good at forecasting, and I'm good at I'm working in an area of high uncertainty because artificial intelligence is not that solid yet. It's under research. Some areas are quite delicate. Cooptation and coalition building. Now, especially if the company is in favor, has discovered the potential of open innovation, then if I am building relations with other companies which are important for my innovation, for the innovation within the company I belong to, then this coalition building and this cooptation increases my power. And that is, if I have these external alliances, then because they are very important, then I can build an internal alliance with other managers that are not as strong as I am, and I have ally within the company. Then, or I have people that work for me and my subordinates, and I would either give them some incentives, or I will fight for their promotion, and so that these subordinates, if they be in a career, when they get in a higher position, will remember that I helped them when they were not yet as strong as they are now. Then I can. Loyalty is that I remember that you helped me at that time, and so I will do the same to you. Gain representation on important committees. Yeah, if you are on any, let's say, since we are speaking about, we are studying this fact of, on social environmental responsibility now. We've been saying that, due diligence. Now, due diligence for a marketing maybe effort, or just because we think it's important for our reputation, then it is key that the committee that is in charge of the due diligence runs properly. So, and the board of directors, the board of administration, thinks that all the people working in that area are critical for the destiny of the company. Then it's important that you are appointed as a part of that committee, studying due diligence, for example. Bring in outside experts, consultant to bolster your position. Now, I think not necessarily, I mean, this is seen as in power, but of course, I myself, when I was in this company, it was a consulting company, I decided to I proposed to have a scientific committee, and because I said that in trying to get public procurement, then if we had a scientific committee, we would be better off than other competitors. And so that's what I did. But that it was not to bolster my position. It was because it seemed to be reasonable, and all the other people and the owner of the company thought that that was correct, so we went ahead on that. So not necessarily you have to do this in order to bolster your position. Of course, if you can use that to say, I asked them to be part of a scientific committee, and that is because the researchers that I asked to come in the scientific committee believed me because I told them that our company is serious, etc., etc. So my reputation grew, but at the same time, it's not that I was bolstering my position. Of course, did not damage it, but not everything has to be done but this slide says that if you want to work to increase your power, these are some of the strategies that you can use. Do you have any questions or some points that you did that are not clear?
Yes.
Or some points that you don't agree upon?
So yeah, I have a question.
Okay. Who is?
Yes, this is Lamin. Yeah, my question is specifically about like a situation where the behavior of B is influenced by both A1 and A2, because sometimes in leaders, power and leadership can come from two paths. Like you have a subordinate, or you have a section whose behavior is influenced by part A and part B, and all of them have different interests. So the reason why I'm asking this is because based on my personal experience, if an individual wants to do mining activities in my country, the Gambia, he has to get the license from the Ministry of Environment, understand, which is responsible for all the proactive activities they should carry out, like due diligence, to ensure that the person's mining activity will not impact the environment. But after you are given the license, then after you have the license, your activities are monitored by the geological department. So meaning this person, Mr. A or B, behavior is influenced by two parties, party A and party B. So my question is, when an individual's behavior is influenced by two persons, don't you think that is going to result to more conflicting issues? Because based on my experience, it's like lobbying you were talking about the last class. I've seen many cases of lobbying whereby people who are not qualified to have the license to practice mining activities are given the license by the Ministry of Environment, because they know somebody within the environment who gave them the license. But after they start the activity, after 2 years, we conducted what is called a system audit. A system audit try to see what is called the risk-based internal auditing, to see the impact of what they are doing, the miners, on the environment. So, but we see that most of them are not actually going by the regulation that are set by the Ministry of Environment. So that's why I came with this idea that maybe if power comes from two sources, then it is going to cause a lot of problem, especially when all of them have a diverging interest in that. This one is looking at compliance, which is the Ministry of Environment, and the Ministry of Petroleum and Geological Department is looking at the revenue part, how much you are getting, because you have to pay royalty. Every cubic meter of mining, you have to pay the government. So they have two interests. This one's interest is economic. This one is looking at the environment.
Yeah.
See.
Well, the problem here is that when you get in touch with the institutions, you have to know what you're doing and how far you can go, because it depends on the kind of relationship you have with that institution. Of course, if you have, two institutions, like, for what I understand, your point is, then you say, if you're going to be friendly with one institution, then the other one is going to be jealous, let's say, and will not. So there it has to be your ability in developing personal networks that must be balanced. Otherwise, you find yourself trapped into one ministry, for example, at the expense of the other one, and so the other one will block you. So it's not easy to develop personal networks. It has to take a lot of equilibrium, a lot of know-how to to get in a good relationship, but at the same time not to be locked in, because if you get locked in, then you're not free to follow your objectives, but in the end you follow the objectives of the institution. So in this case is turning upside down the capture of the regulator.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So it's the company that is, which is not fair. I don't know if I answered to your
No,
question.
I know,
So
because
it's not.
mine is more like, it's more, not much more of a, I like what you're trying to say, but it's more of like a comment that is always in my mind, because I've seen myself in the middle of this situation as an internal auditor. In the left, you have the petroleum, the geology department, which is responsible for the collection of the revenue. And in the left side, you have the Ministry of Environment, which is looking at your compliance. But no miner could have the license. Miners cannot have the license to mine, whether sand or gravel, without not going first through the Ministry of Environment. And the Ministry of Environment, we do their impact assessment, and they now give you the license of 3 years or 2 years to start operating. Then come the Ministry of Geology Department, which is under another ministry. So the conflict is always persistent in this area, where two different bodies influence the behavior of a company, like a mining company. So it's a situation like, it's more of like a governance issue for me. See.
Yeah, well, it's a governance issue, yes, for what concern the agency, for what concern the agency. But then these issues are resolved not only on a mere technical aspect. It's sometimes, I mean, the technical aspects are important because they, according to the laws that have been passed, then, you know, the okay on a project cannot be acquired against certain thresholds. For example, when they do the impact assessment, you cannot go over certain thresholds, but at times you can go in a certain area, but not in another one. So which area to choose, that is a matter of negotiation between the company or yourself and the representatives of the institution.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, just a second. I have to answer, not to answer, to say that I have. Sorry. Sorry, a second. I just told them that I'm teaching, so they should be calling me later. Okay, then we can get maybe with more points of clarification on Thursday when we will.
Yeah, so we do that. Thank you. Thank you.
When we meet over there. Okay, any other disagreement or complaints? Simonian, I see her. I see that you are distressed. No, you're not distressed. No, okay. It's not that
For now,
important.
I don't have any questions.
Okay. Anyone else? When sometimes I mention one of you is just to say, just to no one else. Okay, then we go on. Okay, now if we go over to the next slide, is the model that we've seen. Now you see that all the areas where you have relations a company, look here, when you are trying to personalize your suppliers, then there is a power relationship because you are the buyer and they are the sellers. So how you negotiate and how they can convince you. So you have the power. Well, you have the power to say, I'm going
Hi,
to pay.
Prof.
Yes, please, what?
Hi, Prof. Sorry, Prof. I sent you a mail concerning my project.
Pardon? Who's that? Who is speaking?
Can you hear me, Prof? Hi, Prof.
It's
Hello?
Moses, one of the
Yes,
students.
I
Yes,
sent you a mail concerning my project last week. You are here to
So
acknowledge the mail.
you write to me on WhatsApp if you want to have a meeting on your project work on Thursday after Tano, okay?
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof.
But at what time? So what's your name again? Because I didn't get it.
Olumide Olanrewaju.
Who?
Olumide Olanrewaju, that's my name.
No. Well,
Most, can you type in the group, please? He's typing in the group. Then.
Sorry, please write it on WhatsApp, okay?
Okay, I will. Thank you very much.
Olanvayu, Olumide.
Yes,
Rewaju.
Olumide Olanrewaju.
Okay, you're not doing the project work, right?
I am doing the project work. I sent you a mail last week concerning the project. I sent you the company I'll be using.
See.
Okay, so we'll see you. We'll meet on Thursday online at 6:10, 6:15. Okay.
Okay, Prof.
Okay. Right now, let's go back to the slide. You can see here that I mean there is a connection here, the power relationship here between these primary activities and support activities, because in how far are they supporting these activities here? So there is a communication, contacts, decision making, and so now here, what is the power of the company with customers or users?
You don't have that. You are crazy.
If you someone is speaking on top of me, so please turn the microphone off. So you see that, and then public administration and the company, there is a power relationship here, because we have seen that it can go from the company onto the regulator and vice versa. And the equilibrium is hard to reach. Now, the whole point of power within an organization is obviously based on the outcomes, and the outcomes in terms of value produced, revenues, and costs that are being supported and limited. So the value and customers you reach, it's on effectiveness, and costs is which you must keep at a so that they don't jeopardize your revenues, and so that takes the power with your supplier. And here the power is, I will make you a long-term contract, but you'll have a unit price which will be lower than if I gave you a just short-term contract. So all these negotiations, this power application is important to understand where the company is going and what actually activities are basic, both on the sides of costs or on the part of revenues, to increase its standing. Now, to see the to go and be more structured, especially on this and these areas, I go to the next slide, which is this one, in which you have organizational structures, specialization and coordination. This we've seen from the very first lesson. An example, a very abstract example. Here we go a little bit more in detail. This is Porter's model, and this here, figure 6-7, is taken from Jones' Organizational Theory, Design and Change. It's the year 2005, but still I find it very enlightening as a basic, and I tell you, like I told your colleagues last year, because I think you don't have a clear idea of what is an organizational structure. Now, the basic one is this one, which here the names are different from these and from these, but it's just a matter of wanting to have a full list or not, or a partial one. Like, for example, here it's manufacturing. Here, Porter calls it operations, because if you are a bank, you have no manufacturing. Your clients have manufacturing, maybe the factories, but in general, this area here is called operation. That is how you transform your inputs. For a bank, it's the money that your deposits that you lend to companies or to persons, and how and the interest rate, that's your profit once you've taken away the costs of the people, of the instruments, etc., and of the cost of the passive interest rate that you have to pay to the ones that have your deposit. Now, what it says here, you can organize your company at the beginning. For example, here's automotive products division here. Here it says it's a whole company that has different structures of different divisions. Here you have 3 basic divisions, 1, 2, and 3. Now, I'll get a little bit more in detail, but not before we take a little break, 10 minutes break, because this is something we have to consider with a lot of patience. So 10 minutes and we are back in 2.
Thank you, Professor. See you in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.